first make use of the angles. Angles must be in radian in this case. Okay? At nakikita natin dito sa unit circle, these are the angle measurements wherein when you move here, standard position, this is pi over 12. And pi over 12 is 180 divided by 12. That is approximately to be 15 degrees. But then when we talk about polar coordinates, we always have radian. Take note of this. And the coordinates, the theta, the angle, must be in standard position. That is automatic. This is in standard position. Okay? Wala kayong ibang pagkukuhanan ng angle. You should not start here. Mali. You should not start here from y-axis. That's wrong. Either in y-axis wrong. But no other starting position, because we're referring to standard position, should be on the positive x. All rotations must start here. Kaya siya standard position. Okay? At dapat marunong na kayo dyan kasi yan ang midterm topic natin, trigo. So in the definition of polar coordinates, let's have a quick review again. We need to have the angle. Okay? We need to have the angle, and next is to identify the radius. So if you have a point P, you're going to get the distance. Radius acts as the distance of that point to the center. Okay, center. Point A is center of the rotation, or center of the circle. That can also be expressed that way, or that is the origin. So tandaan niyo, radius is the distance kasi ito ang madalas na tanong ng karamihan. Sir, ang radius ba ay distance? Then I kept on answering it's a distance. And why do many of you keeps on asking, sir, radius, distance? That is also a manifestation that you are not reading your LMS and your module at the same time. Kung ganun na madalas na tanong. So I always request you, my dear students, to please have a scan and read. You should always read. Do not solve unless you've read already. That's the basic, call that as the routine, a nice routine. Okay? So paano magplat? Review ulit tayo. So dito, ang layo ng point A sa B ay 2, let's say 2 kilometers or 2 units. And then the angle formed in standard position is pi over 3, or that is 60 degrees. But must be expressed into radian. At kapag isusulat mo na siya into coordinates, dapat you should always follow radius, tapos ang next ay angle. Always follow that. So the radius is 2, and the angle formed in the standard position is pi over 3, making that into 2, and then you have pi over 3. And you should also take note, class, that angles may also be clockwise or counterclockwise, just like in number 4. The angle here is clockwise, and it is indicated negative. So whenever you see again negative angle would mean that's a clockwise rotation. So negative 2 pi over 3 is the angle formed. Okay, and how do we know that in degrees? So negative 2 pi over 3 is negative 120 degrees. So kapag i-convert mo lang ulit siya sa degrees, so i-multiply mo lang ito sa 180 divided by pi. So mangyayari, this is 60. 60 times negative 2 is negative 120 degrees. Okay? And all others are manifested or just shown clearly on this case. Okay, now to check if you know that already, I'm going to let you answer just 2 questions. Okay, and then I want you to express your answer in the coordinate form. So r theta. Okay? So magbibigay ako ng 2 illustrations lang, and then ibibigay ninyo ang coordinates. Okay? As expected, radius and theta must be in radian. Okay, so we will now have the 2 items. We cannot wait this long. We've got so much to talk. So ngayon, you should have your calculator and you should have your pen and paper. Hindi nyo lang tititigan ito. So ngayon, I'll now construct two illustrations. Number one illustration from the center. Okay. Okay, this is the axis. So let's say, for example, the angle here is 50 degrees. The angle here is 50 degrees. And the distance from point C to point E is, let's say, for example, 11 kilometers. Now, I want you to get the coordinates of point E in number 1 with the illustration. Next illustration is this. Okay, so this is an imaginary vertical line, vertical axis, the y-axis, para the imaginary x-axis, the positive x, and then let's say, for example, the so there is a point here na ang distansya niya kay point A. Let's say, for example, this is point B at ang layo niya sa dito, distansya nila sa isa't isa. And let's say, for example, we have 21 kilometers and the angle formed from negative x-axis to that to that line segment AD, let's say, for example, that is 10 degrees. So identify the coordinates of point E on the first and identify the coordinates of point D on the second illustration. So I'm giving you 2 minutes to give the answer. So after solving this, please provide your answer. Ilagay nyo ang sagot ninyo sa comment section nitong meeting. Okay? And I will not call your names and just have them provided, and this is all about practice anyway. Okay, so I received one response already. So let's wait for the others. And as time is running, take note, you're given 2 minutes. So halimbawa, pakiramdaman mo na parang nag-exam ka na and tig one item, tig 1 minute. Pakiramdaman nyo na ganun yung nangyayari. And on that case, napapractice niyo yung speed and accuracy. Okay, I'm now looking into the responses. Okay, just keep on commenting your answers. Okay, nakikita ko ang mga sagot ninyo. Okay, last 30 seconds. Okay, so time's up. We're going to solve these two questions. Okay, basically the question here is what are the coordinates? What are the coordinates of point E and so with point D given the illustrations? So what you see these dot lines are vertical representations, imaginary representations of the x and y axis. So and you have to take note of this. Number one, it must be in standard position. Well, most of you might be confused of 50 degrees and 10 degrees as you can see on your screen. But then I told you that the angle must be in standard position. Where's my pen? Here. Okay. Nasagutan na natin ang number 1. So dito, sa number 1, malinaw ang pagkakalagay ng radius. Actually, yun ang hindi naman natin masyadong problema ang radius. From the form, radius and angle, we know already that radius is 11. Okay? Pero yung angle na yan na 50 degrees, tandaan mo na ang total angle na kailangan mo is this. It is 50 degrees plus 90 degrees. And this is equal to 140 degrees. You have to convert 140 degrees into radian. So gagawin mo lang dyan, it's just a ratio. Naglo-lowest term ka lang dito. So ang angle na 140 degrees must be converted into radian. So 140 degrees, multiply that to pi over 180. Okay, makakancel na yung degree symbol na yan. And you have pi, 140 divided by 180 is 7 over 9. So this will now give you the answer that is 7 over 9 pi. 7 pi over 9, I mean. Base ko lang. Okay, so this will be 7 pi over 9. Now to complete the coordinates of point E, we now have 11 and 7 pi over 9. Next, the coordinates of point D. Okay, so if you have question on the coordinates of point E, you can just immediately speak it out. Pwede kayo magsalita na kaagad, okay? Kasi while I'm writing, I cannot simultaneously read comments. So please speak it out kung sa tingin nyo parang may mali others. Okay? Next is the coordinates of point E, and to get the coordinates of point E, tandaan mo na that can be illustrated counterclockwise, clockwise, or that can also be given counterclockwise. I have two options. Pwede siyang counterclockwise and the other is clockwise. So kapag sinolve mo siya clockwise, dahil nakikita mo this is 10 degrees, so 180 degrees, 180 degrees, tanggalin mo ang 10 degrees, this will give you a negative 170 degrees, indicating clockwise rotation. Tanggalin mo lang yung 10 degrees na indication kanina. Okay? Yung yellow naman, yung yellow figure naman, that is for a counterclockwise rotation. In a counterclockwise rotation, it is now 180 degrees. Dagdagan mo naman ng 10 degrees. Kasi nakikita natin, it exceeds 180 degrees. As you can see, this is 10 degrees. So the angle is 190 degrees. So we have 190 degrees for counterclockwise. For clockwise, we have negative 170 degrees. Okay? And why do we get this? Why do we need to get this? Because we are focusing on the standard position. The next thing you need to do is to convert these two angles into radians. So we have 190. Lowest term lang kayo, 190 divided by 180. Lowest term is 19 over 18. So it means to say this is equal to 19 pi over 18. Okay? Ito naman si 170 degrees. Lowest term, 170 divided by 180. It is negative 17 over 18. indicating the negative sign for clockwise, we have negative 17 pi over 18. Therefore, since you have two possibilities and when you read your tingnan nyo, may nilagay ako dito na napakaraming rotations na pwedeng mangyari. Dahil napakarami ang rotations na pwedeng mangyari, there are infinite angles. Take note that with the definition of coterminal angles, and for your information, 190 degrees and negative 170 degrees are coterminal angles. So they're just a pair. Pero ang dami-daming coterminal angles. Ibig sabihin, paulit-ulit ka mag-rotate. Paulit-ulit ka din makakakuha ng angle. Gagawin mo na lang daw is to select the nearest. Any of these two can be considered. Okay, you just need to be very conscious and natural, marunong ka sa definition of coterminal angles. Therefore, ang magiging sagot natin dito, point D has coordinates now. Pwede kayong pumili kung anong gusto nyong coordinates. Ang point D ay may coordinates na 21 being the radius and 19 pi over 18. If you choose to have that is a counterclockwise rotation. Or point D has coordinates 21 as the radius and negative 17 pi over 18 as the angle. And that is for clockwise rotation. Well, any of these two is considered to be correct. Okay, so ano man dito sa dalawa ay tatanggapin bilang sagot. Okay, as observed to your answers, ang masasabi ko dito ay na-deceive ang karamihan sa inyo nang nakikita ninyo 10 degrees and the 10 degrees and that of how do you call that one? The 10 degrees at saka itong si 50 degrees. I would like to highlight this kasi baka mamaya ito magiging dahilan ng pagkakamali ng karamihan. Kailangan ng angle ay standard position. Hindi nyo basis itong 50 degrees. Hindi nyo siya basis kasi siya ay isang angle na hindi naka-standard position. Ito din si 10 degrees. Ngunit magiging basis mo sila para kunin ang angle in standard position. At uulitin ko, angle in standard position ay nag-start sa positive x-axis. Nag-start siya dito. Kaya nakikita ninyo, nag-start ito ang movement mo. And 90 plus 50 is 140. Ganun din ang nangyari dito. Kaya tinan nyo yung movement ng yellow and the movement of blue. They all started from positive x-axis indicating a standard position. Okay, so I think you have to take note of this. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to move to our next lesson. And on the next lesson is you are now interested to convert the polar coordinates or rectangular coordinates. Dito ka na ngayon interesado. And we have this formula, x radius cosine theta and y is equal to radius times sine theta. Well, radius is x squared plus y squared. Okay. Square of radius and arctangent or tangent theta, wherein you're interested to get theta, is equal to arctangent of y over x, inverse trigo. Pero paano mo ba ito maintindihan pagdating sa coordinates? Pagdating sa illustration ng coordinates, ang ibig niyang sabihin ay ganito. Dahil ang angle, okay, if you have this xy plane, and let's say this is point A and the other is point B, and then you connect them to, di ba? Ang pinag-uusapan natin sa polar coordinates kanina lang we have the radius and the theta as the angle. This theta is the angle formed in standard position, and the radius is that the distance of point A to point B. So yan ang polar coordinates. So ang polar coordinates ni point B ay radius and then theta. Ngayon, paano papasok ang idea naman ng rectangular coordinates? If we draw an imaginary vertical segment here, and this is 90 degrees, since vertical, ito ay nagre-represent sa y. Okay? That represents the y, the length of y. Okay? And in here, the length that represents the horizontal is what we call the length for x. So ito naman, ang distansya dito hanggang dyan ay nire-represent ng x. Sa madaling salita, kapag kukunin natin ang coordinates ng point B, ay meron siyang coordinates x, y. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin. Or, kung hindi nyo maintindihan yung pagkaka-illustrate niyan, ganito lang din naman siya. If this is 2, and this is, let's say for example, this is 2.5. Di ba pag nag-illustrate tayo, halimbawa nandito yung point. Yung point ay nakahilera sa dalawa. No? Nakalinya siya sa 2 for x. Nakalinya din siya sa 2.5 for y. So ibig sabihin, this is 2 and this is 2.5 in the rectangular coordinates. Ganun ang representation niya, class. Kaya mapapansin nyo dito, ang distansya ng 2 na yan ay nire-represent nito. At ang distansyang 2.5 na yan ay yun yung nire-represent naman nito. So, ang layo nila from the origin to the right ay 2 units. Layo from origin upward, 2.5 units. Kaya nga, ang sabi ko kanina, distansya x and y. So, kung kukunin natin yan, paano natin masosolve ngayon ang y and x? And it's very clear now, class, na kung kukunin natin yung right triangle, this is the right triangle now, with radius, this is theta, this is y, and x. So, pag kukunin mo na yung radius dyan, using the Pythagorean theorem, square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the legs. So when you're getting for the radius, that will be immediately the square root of the sum of the squares of the two legs. Okay? And pag kukunin mo naman ngayon, okay, I'm just trying to derive. We're now deriving para sa tingin ko, mas maintindihan ninyo kung paano nakuha ang mga formula na to. Lalo na hindi nyo, not necessarily that you are memorizing the formula. Yung iba sa inyo naman ay magaling sa pagdodrawing, nag-illustrate, at mas nakikita niya ang hinahanap niya kapag ito ay naka-illustrate. So, I consider myself to be like that minsan. Mas madalas ako nagdo-drawing kaysa nag-memorize ng formula. From the drawing, nakaka-create ka ng pattern at dun mo nalalaman kung saan ang galing ng formula. At I find that as another advantage sa mga nagsusolve. Okay? So, pag kukunin nyo yung y, tandaan mo na yung theta in relation to y and x, di ba? Ang y ay opposite ng theta, ang x ay adjacent side niya, kaya nagkaroon ka ng tangent theta is equal to y over x because tangent is for opposite over adjacent, right? Gives you theta is equal to arctangent of y over x. Remember the inverse trigo function sa midterm natin, gagamitin ulit natin yan. At bakit mo gagawin ito? For you to get the angle needed. Okay? And the next thing you have to consider here is how are you going to get y? So y therefore, okay, makikita ninyo dito class na ang y, let me remove, ang y dito ay klarong-klaro na y versus radius or the opposite of theta over hypotenuse r signifies sine. Diba? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine theta is equal to y over r. Cross multiply radius and sine theta, y is equal to r sine theta. Yan ang pinanggalingan ng formula for y. Kaya nakikita nyo, it is r sine theta. And for x naman, natural, it will turn to be cosine theta. Bakit? Because that x is the adjacent side of the angle theta. So x over r, hypotenuse. X therefore, x now is equal to r cosine theta. So ganyan ganyan nang galing yung mga formula na yan. At kapag marunong kayo sa pag-illustrate, sa tingin ko another advantage nyo sa pagsosolve kapag nagdo-drawing kayo at naiintindihan nyo kung anong tinutukoy ng drawing ninyo, mas nagigets nyo din ang sinusolve nyo, I think. Okay? So pagbabalikan natin itong illustration na to, since nakikita mo x is 2 and y is 2.5, then you can now have the angle. Angle is equal to arctangent of y is 2.5 and x is 2. Kasi ito ang y, ito ang x. So, what is the lowest term of 2.5? 2.5 divided by 2 is 5 over 4. Okay, but kailangan natin i-rewrite siya into fraction. So, we have arctangent of 5 over 4. Okay. Ngayon, class, kapag kukunin mo yung angle ng arctangent 5 over 4, dapat naka-degree mode ka, di ba? Arctangent of 5 over 4 is approximately 51.34 degrees. This is just approximated, 51.34 degrees. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, class, pag babalik tayo sa illustration natin, okay, dali lang. Pag babalik tayo sa illustration natin, ang angle na kayang i-form nito, ay, pwede ko lang mag-drag. Okay. Ngayon ko lang nalaman yun na. Okay. So here, the angle that we can form on this case, from the center to the point here, center to the point, ang angle daw na na-form mo dito, okay, angle here is approximately 51.34 degrees. Yun ang ibig sabihin ni polar coordinates. Therefore, and what about the radius? How far is that point to the other? Let's say, for example, the point, this is point A to point, let's say this is point F. So, gaano kalayo si point A sa F? AF, line segment, also is being represented by the radius. O, the Pythagorean theorem ka lang dyan. Ano ba yung two legs? X and Y. 2 and 2.5. So, square mo ang x na 2, square mo ang 2.5 na y, and you're going to get the square root of the sum of the squares. So, square root of 2 squared plus 2.5 squared is approximately 3.2. So, your answer here is 3.2 or 3.20 can do. So, we have radius that is equal to 3.2. So, ito ay 3.2. Okay, so that is how we indicate the polar coordinates. Ganyan ang relasyon nila. So pag titignan ninyo yung examples natin, you can just browse some of the basic examples. Okay. So pag i-browse mo tulad dito, number 1, you know that the radius is 2 and then the theta is pi over 3. So gagamitin mo lang ang formula x is equal to r cosine theta, r sine theta to get for x. Ang partner ng x ay laging cosine at partner ng y ay laging sine. So multiply, and you have to take note na kapag pi over 3 ang given at gagamitin mo ang pi over 3, calculator must be in radian mode. Ulit-ulitin na naman natin, pi over 3, pag nakita mo yan, ibig sabihin i-radian mo ang calculator mo. Pero kung ayaw mo siyang i-radian, i-convert mo ang pi over 3 into degrees. And that takes a lot of effort. masyado nang matagal pag ganun pag-exam. Kaya kung ako sa inyo, again, you have to practice radian to degrees, degrees to radian. Okay? So kung sino man ang hindi pa marunong dun ulit, may you please send me a message via Facebook Messenger so that I will attend to your query about that. Kung hindi nyo pa ulit alam o nakalimutan ninyo, send a message to me and I will send a tutorial video. I remember I sent a tutorial video sa ating FB group na GeoMaster. Previously, Trigomaster. Okay? So makukuha mo ng 1 and pi over 3 and 6. And since you're referring to rectangular coordinates, so x, y. So yan na yung sagot. Okay? And then, all other examples, you can just browse na lang. Okay? Kasi paulit-ulit ang indication ng dalawang ito. So paulit-ulit lang din ulit yan. Pag baliktarin naman natin, polar coordinates to rectangular coordinates, polar coordinates, okay? Baliktad ako. From rectangular to polar, so this is x and y. Okay? At kung kukunin mo na ang radius, so from x and y, igagawin mo siyang radius and then theta. Since alam mo naman na ang this is r, this is y, this is x, so Pythagorean radius square root. Okay, Pythagorean na yan. Get the sum of the squares of x and y and that will give you. So sa example natin, 2 square root of 2 ang magiging radius mo. And then pag kukunin mo na yung angle, use arctangent. Okay, initially you have tangent theta is equal to y over x and that gives you 1. And the next thing you're going to do is, paano hindi ka na naman sure sa angle na hinahanap mo. So you have theta is equal to arctangent of 1. So when you use your calculator, arctangent of 1, so tingnan natin, i-radian natin yung calculator. Arctangent 1, kung gusto mong diretsyo ng naka-radian ang sagot mo, iset mo muna ng radian ng calculator mo, and then you now have to press arctangent of 1. Magpapakita sa calculator ninyo is pi over 4. Automatic. Okay? So yun yung kahalagahan naman nito. Calculator. You have to be very friendly to your calculator kasi it will really save you. Okay? Sa exam. All other examples, I guess you can just browse them again kasi with the same procedures, you can always arrive with the same definitely yung sagot, no? So in number 2 we have this is x and y. O yan na naman, radius is equal to the square root of the x and y, sum of the squares of x and y. Square mo ang x na 1/2, square mo ang y na negative square root of 3 over 2. Pagsamahin silang dalawa, and then magiging sagot ay 1. So kailangan mong kilalanin na ang y mo ay negative at ang x mo ay positive. Okay? On that case, malalaman mo din kung ano yung angle. If it's positive or negative. And take note class, bakit naging dalawa ang angle natin dito? Kasi yan na yung case ng clockwise and counterclockwise na demo kanina, no? Dahil kung ang angle ay makikita mo, so quadrant 4 makikita itong angle, no? Negative pi over 3, sabi niya. Negative pi over 3 just to indicate that is negative 60 degrees, no? Rotation clockwise. Ito naman si 5 pi over 3 is an indication of counterclockwise rotation at yan naman ay katumbas niya ay positive 300 degrees. So, kinonvert ko lang yan into degrees para mas ma-visualize niyo, pero siya si pi over 3. Tapos ito naman in black, yan naman si negative pi over 3. Okay? And to check that out, if you have holding your calculator, ilagay ninyo arctangent of is negative square root of 3 in your calculator, magpapakita dyan ay yung isa, negative pi over 3. So let's check our tangent of negative square root of 3. Okay? So ang nagpakita is negative pi over 3 in your calculator. Pero sabi ko nga sa inyo, itong si 5 pi over 3 naman ay pwede din kilalanin bilang polar coordinates kasi siya naman ang nagre-represent counterclockwise. Okay? So maybe your question is, sir, does it mean that there are always two answers? My answer to that is there are infinite answers. There are infinite answers. But then you are just, since they are all the same, you can just select one from them. Itong dalawang ito na angles of 5 pi over 3 and okay. That's it. Okay, I thought one of you would open my data. Okay, so yan ang implications. Ulitin ko, napakaraming coordinates na pwedeng ma-solve. Since ang dami-dami nila, you can just select one. And pagdating sa exam, definitely, there will always be one answer that you're looking for. Okay, but you have to be open to the idea na yung pinakita ng calculator ay magkamamaya hindi ito nakalagay. Kasi may iba pa, may clockwise, may counterclockwise, you have to be open to that. So I would suggest class, mag-drawing kayo at the same time. Itong representation, this drawing, as you can see here. Okay, I just quickly illustrated. Ito si negative 60 degrees, tapos maging negative pi over 3. Posible na may isang angle that is counterclockwise. Ano kaya yun? So, kung 300 ito, kung negative 60 degrees ito, yung negative sign lang naman ang indication ng clockwise. Tagalin mo 60 degrees sa 360. Kaya ka nagkaroon ng 300 degrees. And that is 5 pi. So, when you're doing your, when you're now selecting your answers for the exam, then you more likely have to do this kasi sa tingin mo, nawawala yung ina-expect mo sagot. Pero wag mo sabihin mo lang sagot. Dahil yung sagot ay yung isa kanyang tanong. Okay? Mga ganun posibilidad na I'm not declaring that will happen. You have to open to those cases because I kept it infinite now meaning polar coordinates. Okay, so to test if you understood these two, I'm now going to let you answer two questions again and take note of the formula. Take note of these formulas here. That when you are changing the polar to rectangular coordinates, you're using this formulas. X is equal to r cosine theta, y is equal to r sine theta. When you're solving rectangular to polar coordinates, then you're using the Pythagorean theorem r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared because r squared acts as, or the radius r acts as the hypotenuse, and tangent theta is equal to y over x. Ay para makuha mo naman ang angle required. And to get the angle using your calculator, use the inverse tangent y over x. Okay, sa tingin ko hindi ko na-release na. Release na ito. And then dito na ako maglalagay ng ipapasok ko sa inyo. Okay, well, number 1. If you have xy, this is xy given. Kung meron kang xy na may coordinates na 10 and then 5, and then what will be its corresponding polar coordinates? And then number 2, if you have polar coordinates, let's say this is 7 and then the angle is sige, mag-select ako ng angle. Let's say the angle is 25 pi over 18. Okay, what will be the corresponding xy coordinates? So again, I'm giving you 2 minutes to answer these 2 questions. Okay, you're given 2 minutes to answer these questions and I'll be playing music. Looking for a good music para kumalma kayo habang ano. So again, i-comment nyo lang yung sagot ninyo at sasagutan natin yan. Naging Chinese tayo ngayon. Sakto kasi yung damit ko, Chinese. Joke lang. Okay, so. Okay. Later, I'll select another. So, play ko na natin yung Chinese. Instrumental. Music. You may now comment your answers. Last 30 seconds. Hindi ba masyadong clear ang boses ko? Leslie? And to the group, hindi ba clear?
Kanina po, sir.
Maybe because of may nag-ano kasi dito, may construction sa kapitbahay. Okay. Hirap talaga pag work from home, no? You are with the dogs and everything. Okay. Sige na, i-comment nyo na yung sagot ninyo. And again, okay lang magkamali. Basta pag-aralan natin kung bakit siya mali at bakit siya tama. Okay? I'm reading your answers again. Last 30 seconds. Okay, so let us now answer the questions here. The first question is, you're going to convert the rectangular coordinates 10, 5 into polar coordinates r theta. So the first thing you really need to do here is to, okay, xy. So dito naman ang mangyayari, radius is equal to the square root. Square root of x and y here, square root of 10 squared plus square root of, plus 5 squared. Okay, pwede na tayo mag-approximate lang sa radius na yan. So 10 squared plus 5 squared. It is 5 square root of 5, no? Radius is equal to 5 square root of 5. So this will now be 5 square root of 5 for the radius. And then for the theta here, theta must be in radian. Theta is equal to arctangent of y, that is 5, x, that is 10. So 5 over 10. And ilagay nyo sa radian ng calculator ninyo para diretso na siyang mag-radian. So arctangent of 5 over 10. At makikita ninyo na it is approximately 0.436, ganun. Sa mga ganitong cases, class, na hindi siya nagpakita ng answer na may pi. Tandaan niyo to. Wala siyang pinakitang sagot na may pi. So ibig sabihin, ina-approximate niya lang yung angle na ito in radian. At dahil approximated ang pinapakita niya sa calculator, ang ilalagay natin ngayon ay yung mismong buong expression na arctangent of 1/2. 5 over 10 is 1/2. So this will now give us arctangent of 1/2. Ulitin ko, walang bearing ito dun sa inaasahan mo maging sagot, that is approximation. Actually, that arctangent of 1/2 is the exact answer we're looking for. If the calculator cannot present to you answers that has pi, o ito yung clue. Pag ang calculator hindi ipapakita yung pi na inaasahan mong dapat magpakita, at ang pinakita niya ay isang decimal, ang ibig sabihin, ina-approximate niya lang yung sinusolve mo. Hindi eksakto ang pinapakita niya sa'yo. Dahil sa mga ganung cases, pwede mo na lang daw isulat yung arctangent 1/2 instead of placing 0.46 radian. Kasi yan ang eksaktong value niya. Okay, nang hinahanap mong angle. Okay, and in number 2 now, we're done in number 1. Sa number 2, to get for x and to get for y given the radius. So x is equal to r cosine. Theta is 25 pi over 18. Where radius is equal to 7. So we have 7 times cosine 25 pi over 18. And we can approximate that. So 7 times cosine 25 pi over 18 is approximately negative 2.39. That is for x. And what about for y? Mamaya explain ko bakit negative, sir. Okay. Y is equal to r sine theta So radius is 7. Then multiply that to sine of 25 pi over 18. And it will give you y that is equal to, sige, palitan natin ng cosine into sine. 7 times sine 25 pi over 18 will give you negative 6.58 approximately. At bakit siya parehong negative? Okay, ito ang dahilan, class. I-carry kasi ng coordinates kung saan mo makikita naman yung point na may polar coordinate na 7 and 25 pi over 18. Ang 25 pi over 18 in degrees para ma-realize mo siya in degrees. 25 over 18, i-multiply mo lang siya sa 1 sa pi, sa 18 over pi, or simply multiply that to 18 or 180, I mean 180, it will give you 250 degrees. Ang katumbas nito ay 250 degrees. Pag i-multiply mo ang 25 over 8, multiply mo yan sa 180 over pi. So cancel na yung pi. 18, 180 divisible by 18. So this is 10. 10 times 25 is 250 degrees. At saan mo makikita ang 250 degrees? In what quadrant? So here, 180. 180 plus 70. Diba? That is 250 degrees. So kung ito ay 70 degrees, so ibig sabihin, ito hanggang dyan, ang katumbas niya ay 250 degrees. Why? Because half of a semicircle, half of a circle, or half of the entire revolution is 180 degrees, plus 70 will give you 250 degrees. At saan quadrant siya makikita? Nasa quadrant 3. That now justifies that x must be negative and y must be negative. It follows, class. Okay? It will strictly follow. Kaya, ang masasabi kong warning sa inyo, kung ano ang ipapakita ng calculator ninyo, especially you just input the intended values. Kung yan ay positive, then positive. Pero kung pinakita niya yung negative, negative lapagapa. Dahil diretso siya sa idea na ilolocate ka niya kung saang quadrant ini-expect ang sagot. Tulad niyang number 2. Okay? It must be negative 2.39, ganun niya. Okay? And then, the other is negative 6.58. I see the need that you have to always check the mode of your calculator, that must be radian. Whenever you see that kind of representation, kasi nga ini-expect r theta, ay radian talaga yung theta. Dapat ang calculator nyo ay naka-radian dahil posible na magkamali kayo. Kahit ilagay nyo pa yung 25 pi over 18 sa calculator ninyo, kung hindi naman siya naka-radian, mali ang ipapakita niya sa inyong sagot. Dahil ang pagkakaintindi ng calculator mo, degrees ang tinutukoy mo, pero hindi pala yun ang tinutukoy mo. Okay? So I see that as a major concern to all of you. I only see one. Isa lang ang nag-respond sa tanong na ito. So I do expect that you are all doing your part, that you are answering, kasi this is reviewing. Okay? So we will now proceed to our next lesson. On our next lesson, we're just focusing now into the distance between 2 points. Gaano kalayo ang dalawang points? Kapag naibigay naman, ang ibinigay naman ay yung angle. Okay? Itong formula nito for the distance formula, class, the distance formula here ay nanggaling sa law of cosine. Nanggaling siya sa law of cosine. And pag nakikita mo na yung theta na yan, ibig sabihin, polar coordinates. Naka-polar coordinates ang given. Where A and B are the radii, yung radius ng bawat isang point. And theta is the included angle. It is the included angle or the angle between them. Okay? And ito yun. So in this example, ang makikita natin dito is you're going to get the distance between the 2 points M and E. M ay may radius na 2 as illustrated and E ay may radius na 3.75 as illustrated also. This negative pi over 6 is negative 60 degrees. Pero in the illustration in blue ay naka-positive yan. Pero ang ginawa lang ng GeoGebra on this part is just to indicate to you that is 60 degrees. Pero when you are now referring to the movement, then that must be negative 60 degrees kasi that is clockwise. The other in green is 60 degrees. That is counterclockwise. So yung tinutukoy niyang angle in between, the angle in between is 60 degrees and 60 degrees. I-add mo yung dalawa kasi ito yung angle niya. That's the angle between them or the included angle. That will give you 120 degrees. Itong A and B in the formula, the square of A plus the square of B minus 2AB cosine theta. Ang A at B na ito ay yung radius ng bawat isa. Radius ng polar coordinates M at saka ang polar coordinates E. Kaya you just substitute these two radii, square of 2 and square of 3.75. So you have 2 times 2 radius of M, 3.75 radius of E, and then 120 degrees being the included angle. Kung nahihirapan kayo sa pagkuha ng included angle, have a quick illustration. Mag-drawing kayo kaagad-agad. Makikita ninyo ang included angle. Sa mga nahihirapan, kumuha ng included angle on their mind. May iba kasi na nai-imagine na nila kung ano yung angle na yun. May iba naman gusto nilang i-drawing kasi dun sila komportable. Mas nakukuha nila pag may drawing. So you have your options. Kaya nga nilagay ko dito yung drawing para magkaroon naman kayo ng idea. Okay? So the answer is 5.06 by definitely completing the entire process. Pag yan, i-simplify mo na. Okay? Itong number 2 naman, kung makikita naman ninyo, ang point R ay may radius na square root of 57. So this is square root of 57. At si point B ay may radius na 4. So this is 4. Kung ang angle na meron si point R ay 5 pi over 6 at ang 5 pi over 6 ay 150 degrees tulad na nakikita niyo sa green at ang pi over 6 ay 60 degrees. So ano ngayon ang included angle? Kaya very necessary na kailangan tignan mo yung illustration muna. Ang sabi niya dito, kung ang angle ni R ay 150 degrees, so ito si 150 degrees. Ang angle naman ni D ay 60 degrees, so hanggang dito lang ang 60 degrees. So pag ipapasolve na sa iyo ang angle between them, then you have to be conscious na ang kinukuha mong angle ngayon ay ito lang. Kaya ibig sabihin, tatanggalin mo ang 60 degrees sa 150 kasi ang kukunin mo lang yung portion na shinare ng point R and point D or the angle between them. Making it true that you have to remove 60 degrees from 150, it will now give you just 90 degrees. And I hope that is clear, no? Add, subtract lang nangyayari dito para makuha ang angle. So, you add, in number 1, nag-add ka, 60, 60. Number 2, nag-subtract ka. Depende yan sa magiging itsura ng illustration ninyo o ng expected illustration. So when angle is now 90 degrees, you have to substitute that to the formula and it will now give you the expected answers, no? O yan na, this is 90 degrees. So square root of 57 plus 4 squared minus twice the product of the two radii and multiply that to cosine of 90 degrees included angle will give you 8.54. Okay. So pag nagsosolve kayo ng ganito, you should always remember the formula, the polar coordinates formula, and then do not forget to illustrate, mag-drawing kayo. Kung sa tingin nyo, yun ang makakatulong sa inyo, you have to draw. Okay? And then the next thing you have to do now is to perform the operation, perform the formula, substitute. Yung A and B lang naman na yan ay yung radii or radius ng bawat isang point. At isa sa dapat nyo maintindihan dito is you should always illustrate. Drawing kayo quickly, you draw. Kasi that will really help you. Okay? Pero it doesn't mean naman pagdating sa exam, nagdo-drawing na lang kayo kasi ang items na ganito ang tanong ay siguro mga 1 or 2 items only. Okay? Pero it will really help for you to construct para makatulong, para mas mabilis mo siyang sagutan. Okay? So, ganyan ang ating distance formula for polar coordinates. So, I hope you already have the copy of this formula. So, ngayon, meron akong ipapasolve sa inyo. Just one problem and I want you to get the distance between them, between these 2 points. Okay? And you are not required to illustrate or ipakita ang illustration on the comment section because you cannot provide it. Pero in your solution, you can just provide the answer. So ngayon, ipag-ibigay nyo ang sagot sa comment section. Magbibigay lang ako ng isang problem para makamove na tayo sa next topic. So the problem that I'm going to give to you is to determine the distance between these 2 points. So the problem number 1, how far is point F with coordinates 21 and this, let's say for example, this is negative pi over 10 and point, let's say point P with coordinates 5 and let's say ang kanyang distansya angle is 3 pi over 4. So gaano kalayo ang dalawang points na ito? I am giving you 90 seconds to answer it. And then you will provide your answer in your comment. At mamaya papakita ko din ang illustration kung paano siya makuha. Okay. Start solving now. Okay, so I'm reading your answers. Last 30 seconds. Kembali ka na naluto na? Ania? Okay, so it's time to reveal the answer for this item. You're going to get the distance between these 2 points using the distance formula for polar coordinates. Okay, take note of this. Since you're taking the exam and then you might be confused of the distance formula, take note ng ibibigay ay may indication na polar coordinates ang given. Baka mamaya ay gumagamit kayo ng distance formula ng x and y. Hindi ito applicable for x and y. This is just applicable for polar coordinates. May I strongly remind you about that? Baka mamaya ganun ang ginawa ninyo at sayang ang effort ninyo. Okay? You have to take note, this is polar coordinates. Now, to answer this question, we already know the A and B from the formula that distance. The distance between PF or FP line segment is equal to okay, square 21 square 5 minus 2 times we have 21 times 5 times cosine of what? Yan. Pinaka-crucial dito is the angle. The included angle. So para maintindihan mo kung ano yung included angle, i-start natin i-illustrate. Ano bang negative pi over 10 para makilala muna natin? Negative pi over 10 is a clockwise rotation and that in radian, ang kanyang katumbas ay 180 divided by 10. That is 18 degrees. This is negative 18 degrees to correspond with negative sign. Pero yan ay 18 degrees pagdating sa mismong angle. At si 3 pi over 4 naman ay isang counterclockwise rotation, and this is 135 degrees. Sa madaling salita, class, kapag illustrate mo yan, kung meron kang isang negative angle dahil clockwise siya, this is negative 18 degrees, at may isang angle na positive, that is 135 degrees. So kalahati, no? Nandito siya. Nandito naman si 135 degrees. Ito si 135 degrees. So how are you going to get the included angle? So sa madaling salita, idagdag mo ang 18 degrees. Okay? So meaning to say, angle is now 135 degrees plus 18 degrees. Kapag kumukuha kayo ng included angle, you should always remember you are ignoring negative or positive sign. Baka mamaya ang ginawa nyo 135 plus negative 18 degrees, that's wrong. Kapag tinanong na sa inyo ang included angle sa madaling salita, yung buong angle, regardless of the rotation, positive or negative, treat them as positive because we're now referring to the measurement of the angle. And that will provide us 135 plus 18 is 153, right? Kung magsalita kayo, baka mamaya may mga unseen errors ako sa sinasabi ko or sinusulat ko kasi as I do it simultaneously, it might happen that what I'm telling is not what I'm writing. Okay, so that is 153 degrees. So the angle that must be placed here is 153 degrees. And take note, the angle provided is in degrees, so you have to move the mode of your calculator into degree mode. Okay, number 1 rule ulit yun. So you have now to simplify square root of 21 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 21 times 5 times cosine of 153. And this provides us the answer that is the frequent answer of the majority. The answer is 25.56 degrees. So kung gusto niyo yan malaman, kung pwede din naman yan patunayan sa GeoGebra. You can prove that by the geogebra.org. Pilan nyo yan. Pwede natin yan ipakita. So we have the first coordinate 21 negative pi over 10. So we have 21 semicolon negative 18 is where ano nangyari dito? No. Kailan ba nagyan degrees yun? I think wrong yun. Okay, so I need to place degree symbol kasi yun ang nare-recognize niya. Plus nakikita nyo dito sa screen ko na you have at 21 and then negative 80 degrees. Tapos nagpakita yung isa na 21 and 21 tapos 342 degrees. Itong 342 degrees is ang kanyang coterminal angle. So please, yun na yung indication, class. GeoGebra can also understand coterminal angles. The way we expect. The way we do. Okay? Now, yung isa naman, ang kanyang coordinates ay 5 and 3 pi over 4. And 3 pi over 4 is 135 degrees. So, ilagay lang natin dito. This is 5. And then, semicolon, 345. And then, we place a degree symbol. Okay. Bakit? nandito si si point B must be is 135 pala. Mali ang nilagay ko. Sorry. Mali. This must be 135 degrees. Okay. Okay, so doon nakapwesto si point B. Okay, and the polar coordinates, so ganyan ang itsura yan, the polar coordinates. And then pag kukunin natin ang distansya para mapatunayan lang natin ang sagot na that is 25.56 units, then we can go to tools and select distance. Ayan, the distance. Point B to A. So there you go. Yan ang sagot. 25.56 really is a distance. Well, I'm not telling you that you have to do the GeoGebra during the exam, but then that's just a quick proving using the GeoGebra that the distance really is 25.56. So ang crucial kapag nagsosolve kayo, crucial, theta. At paano nyo makukuha ang theta? I congratulate those who were able to get the answer kasi, well, I think nag-drawing kayo and that's what I mean, no? It really helps a lot to draw, to illustrate. Dahil lang crucial sa distance na ito ay yung angle. So, I commend you for doing that. Nakikita ko yung mga sagot ninyo. And I don't need to specify who got the wrong answer, who got the correct answer. It's time to reflect and be able to refresh and review in preparation for your exam. So that ends our first week lesson. Okay. Unless you have questions, then we can attend to your queries. Do you have questions? Okay, so I think wala kayong tanong. So we are now officially moving to our second week lessons. The first week and the second week lessons are actually related to each other in a way that when you talk about the second week lessons naman, pinag-uusapan naman natin dito is mga direction. At ito yung crucial kasi when I review your performance tasks, binigay ang performance task ninyo ng ang tagal-tagal, umabot siya mga 3 weeks. Di ba? Nagkaroon ng mental health break and then ang nangyari is nag-extend ang performance task ninyo. Siyempre, na-expect din naman na maganda-ganda na ang result. Pero, ang padalas na nagiging problema is yung pag-determine ng direction. Okay? When we are getting the direction in the polar coordinates, you have to be very specific to the... Okay. Kapag direction ang pinag-uusapan natin, class, you have to always... Bakit hindi napapakita ang aking main screen? Okay. Itong northeast kasi, pag binanggit na daw yung northeast, it is understood that is 45 degrees. So kapag 45 degrees na yung angle from the angle of rotation, and that is understood to be northeast, hindi mo na daw pwedeng sabihin na 45 degrees north of east or definitely 45 degrees east of north. Hindi mo na daw kailangan sabihin yan. And so with northeast, southwest, and southeast. Pero, pag kumukuha ka ngayon ng location, with respect to the angle and the way you rotate, kasi kung saan ka nang galing, saan ka ba papunta, okay? Yun kasi yung crucial. So, dito sa examples na ibigay sa inyo, just to have a quick scan, in letter A, it is 12 degrees west of north. Kung ito ang west, okay? At ito ang north. west of north. So, ibig sabihin, nanggaling ka sa north at papunta ka sa west, paganyan ka. Kaya ito ay representation of 12 degrees west of north. I repeat, west of north. Sa madaling salita, if you are moving 12 degrees west of north, you can also mean that you are moving north of east, that is 78 degrees. Because 78 plus 12 degrees is 90 degrees. Okay, so katulad nitong letter F, saan ka papunta? You see the movement here. The movement indicates you are moving to the east. So ibig sabihin, you have 65 degrees east of north. Kasi papunta ka sa east, nagaling ka sa north. Itong letter D, that's 32 degrees. Saan siya papunta? Papunta siya sa east. Saan ka galing? Sa south. So, that is 32 degrees east of south. Okay? And letter C, that's 9 degrees. Saan ka galing? Galing ka sa west. Saan ka papunta? You go to south. So, that is south of west. Letter C. Okay, so that is how we quickly identify the rotations, the exact location. So, kung halimbawa bibigay ka ng direction, kaya very crucial class sa mga direction. Even ngayon may bagyo, di ba? Kapag nagbabasa kayo sa DOST Pag-asa FB page, nakikita nyo yung rotation ng bagyo. Kaya lagi nilang nilalagay 22 degrees east of Tuguegarao City, ganyan. Pag malapit na yung bagyo, remember? It's 10 degrees. Minsan sasabihin nila 150 kilometers north of Tuguegarao City. Ganun ang sinasabi nila kasi they are indicating nasaan na ang bagyo. So, ibig sabihin, kung nandito ang Tuguegarao City, then sinasabi niya, nandito na ang bagyo. Parang ganyan, sinasabi niya. Gaano siya kalayo? Okay? This can be, let's say for example, 50 degrees north of east of Tuguegarao City. Gaano siya kalayo? Let's say for example, 100 kilometers. Kaya in a complete direction class, minsan binabanggit naman talaga ang distansya. They would say 100 kilometers, 50 degrees north of east of Tuguegarao City. Or minsan tatagalin na nila yung north of east. They can say northeast Tuguegarao City. So it plays a lot, it talks a lot of information. Kaya when you are reading DOST information, you would always recognize this. And so with physics, sa pagdating niya sa physics naman, pag-aaralan niyo ng magnitude, ganyan. Magnitude, direction, ganyan. So pag mag-move ang bagyo papunta ng ganyan, sumasayaw ang bagyo, di ba? Kaya makikita niyo yung track niya. Okay, so bawat pwesto niya ay magkakaiba naman ngayon ang distansya sa tinutukoy mo origin. So bawat pwesto magkakaiba ulit ang kanyang angle. Kasi pabago-bago ang angle niya, pag ganyan na yung angle niya. Okay, so these are some of the, just a quick understanding and appreciation of polar coordinates, and we're praying for our friends and brothers and sisters there at Mindanao and Visayas to stay strong and alert kasi malakas ang bagyo daw nandun sa kanila. Okay. In the problem-solving class, sa problem-solving, tulad itong number 1, just to give you yung paraan ng pagkakaintindi dito, dalawang cyclists took two different roadways from initial location. So, ibig sabihin, posibleng yung dalawang cyclists ay nasa isang lugar lang. Si cyclist A ay nag-move 25 degrees north of east. north of east. So if this is east, then he moves, no? 25 degrees north of east. So this is north. That is cyclist A. Let's say cyclist A. Si cyclist B naman ay 30 degrees south of east. South of east. So kung nandito ang south, siya naman ay nag-move 30 degrees. So, sorry. Okay, so here, this is 30 degrees. So, mangyayari dyan, pero they keep on moving. They keep on moving. So, this is cyclist B. Okay, huwag kayong malito sa mga ganito namang speed class. 4 na metro sa bawat segundo. Yun ang ibig sabihin. 3 metro sa bawat segundo. So, ibig sabihin, when you are moving from, when that object keeps on moving, definitely is tuloy-tuloy lang sa pagbabike ang dalawang ito. And then, how are we going to determine now the distance between them after 1 hour, considering they did not change direction? So, tuloy-tuloy lang sila ng movement. Straight na siya. Straight 30 degrees south. Straight na yung daan. So, parang roadway talaga siya na hindi nagbo-move na to other direction. Tuloy-tuloy lang daw sa pag-move. Paano kung 1 oras na ang nakalipas? Gano'n na sila kalayo sa isa't isa? Okay, take note of this. Ang crucial sa pagsosolve ng ganitong problem ay yung pag-intindi sa kinalaman ng speed to distance. Speed to distance, ito talaga ang unang-unang pakikilaman mo. So kung ang speed ni cyclist A ay 3 metro sa bawat segundo, ang 3,600 seconds ay katumbas ng 1 oras kasi 1 hour multiplied to 60 minutes times 60 because per minute is 60 seconds, you have 3,600 seconds to complete an hour. So it means therefore, sa literal na sense niya, kung may 3,600 na segundo ang 1 oras at sa bawat segundo ay gumagalaw siya ng 3 metro, i-multiply mo lang ang 3,600 sa 3, it will give you 10,800 meters. And this is a large number. At when you are multiplying large numbers, usually medyo matagal, no? Kaya minsan, kino-convert na lang natin siya into kilometers. So, ibig sabihin, ang layo na ng cyclist na yun, pagkatapos lang 1 oras ay 10.8 kilometers. The cyclist B, 4 times 3,600 is 14,400, and that is 14.4 kilometers. That's the distance between them already, after an hour. So, kapag ilalagay mo na yan dun sa illustration mo, si point A, cyclist A, ay meron na siyang distansya na 10.8. This is already 10.8. Si cyclist B naman is 14.4. So this is 14.4. So sa madaling salita dito, class, kapag kukunin mo na distansya between them, then you are now being conscious on the angle. Ultimately, ito ang talagang problema. Kung hindi pa kayo marunong kung paano kunin to, and definitely ang angle lang naman ay ito. 25 plus 30 is 55 degrees. The angle that you need is 55 degrees. And so to appreciate and be able to understand well, I think presented dito ang illustration kung paano nakuha ang 55 degrees. Pero class itong nakikita nyo dito, it's the polar coordinates. I-convert lang natin ang 25 degrees into radian. That's 5 pi over 36 radians. And we just converted negative 30 degrees. Bakit siya negative? Kasi south of east. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kumbaga, nasa quadrant 4 siya. Nasa quadrant 1, si cyclist A, nasa quadrant 4 naman si cyclist B. Kaya negative ang kanyang rotation kasi it indicates clockwise rotation. So, after getting all of this necessary data, kapag ilagay mo na yan sa illustration, so you see we have the same illustration kahit you can randomly have your own illustration. Pwede ka lang naman mag-create ng sarili mong illustration. You have to be conscious na lang dun sa angle. So there you go, the illustration versus the solution. Kaya mangyayari dito, class, if you have to add 25 degrees and 30 degrees kasi ito yung included angle na kailangan mong malaman para magamit mo ang distance formula because of this theta here. Ang 10.8 at 14.4 ay ang dalawang distansya na kailangan mong mahanap at yun ay nakuha mo with the condition that after an hour. At ang ganitong problem is tuloy-tuloy lang sa pag-move ang cyclist. So, kunin mo lang yung pagkatapos ng isang oras, gano'n na sila kalayo. Therefore, you have to substitute these two values, 10.8 and 14.4, and the angle that is 55 degrees to the formula, and you now have 12.07 kilometers. So, ang layo nilang dalawa ay 12.07 kilometers already. Okay? So, you see. Would there be a chance that they will meet again? May chance kaya na bigla silang mag-meet habang umalis sila sa parehong pwesto, dumaan sa magkaibang roadway, and is there a chance that they will meet again without going back to where they started? There is a chance. Yan na yung sinasabi nating junctions, intersections. Siyempre, pag nagbabike kayo, there comes a specific area that you will meet each other again. At yun na yung junction o intersection. So, halimbawa sa Isabela, kapag nag-bike ka, San Pablo, Cabagan, ganun ang way mo, Tumawini, Ilagan, Kawayan. And then, pag nag-bike ka naman from Malik, Quezon, Rojas, San Manuel, okay, mag-meet kayo doon sa, I think, Nagilian or Gamu, Isabela, I think Nagilian. Okay, pero hindi pa ako nag-bike hanggang doon. I'm afraid. Hanggang Tugigaraw lang muna ako. Okay, so yan. Ganun yung mga kagandahan naman ng mga ganitong eksena. So you really appreciate dito distance formula in a way to understand also na when you are moving, then you can also calculate when are you going to meet each other. If each one of you indicates their specific distance, specific speed, constant speed. Okay? Ang ganitong problem ay constant speed lang. Okay? Kasi hindi naman sinabi na babaguhin nila ang kanilang speed pagkatapos ng ganito, pagkatapos ng ganyan. Hindi. So, these are the conditions na kailangan nyo maintindihan pag nag-solve kayo ng ganitong problem. Number 1, understand the final distance kasi may speed yan. Kaya nakuha natin ng 10.8 and 14.4. Recognizing time, 1 hour. Tapos kung ilang metro bawat segundo. Okay? And then pagkatapos nun, you have to have an illustration, southeast, northeast, west of south, mga ganyan-ganyan. Para mangyayari is mas maintindihan mo kung paano mo kukuha naman ngayon ang angle, the included angle. Okay? So tatlo ang basic na kailangan mo. Call that basic now. Call that basic, please. Kasi these are the necessities. These are the essentials. You really need to understand bago nyo ma-solve ang ganitong problem. Now, to check if you understood this kind of problem, I'm going to present just one problem and I want you to provide your answer. Okay, so here is the problem. But before that, meron ba kayong tanong? Meron ba kayong gustong i-clarify? Meron ba kayong nakikitang, kasi we are reviewing class. We are reviewing, so I want you to speak out your mind. Ano ang gusto nyong malaman sa ganitong problem? Ano yung hindi nyo pa naintindihan? Ano ang dapat nating ilinawin? 10 seconds. Raise your hand if you have questions. I'm waiting. Sige na, huwag kayong mahiya. Pwede kayo just raise, click the raise hand button at the lower portion of the middle to recognize you. 5 seconds. Okay, so I think wala. So kung nahihiya kayo magtanong, then you can always approach me via Messenger. Okay, pwede naman via LMS message, ganyan. Pero mas I'm faster, no? Faster ako mag-respond kapag nagtanong kayo mismo sa Messenger kasi I'm always active. Sa mga ganyang tanong, academics and mga urgent na tanong ay ang bilis ko mag-respond. Okay? Now let's have this problem. Okay, just one problem. So kung halimbawa, kasi sa ang next example dun sa binigay sa module nyo is yung barko naman eh. Pero pareho lang naman sila ng ginagawa. Pareho lang naman ng procedures. So ito, let's say for example, ang scenario ay jogging na lang. Nag-jogging sila. Okay, let's say for example, si person A ay ang kanyang movement, nanggaling sila sa isang pwesto lang. Okay? Tapos they decided to have no distinct path. So magkaiba ang pupuntahan nila. Si person A ay nag-move 30 degrees 30 degrees north of west. Tapos si person B naman ay, let's say for example, 88 degrees south of west. Okay? And then, ang bilis ng pagtakbo ng bawat isa. Let's say for example, pareho sila ng bilis ng pagtakbo. Okay? And let's say mabagal sila tumakbo or okay, 3 meters per second. I think that's normal. Jogging lang naman ang ginagawa nila. They're not running. Okay? So, gaano na sila kalayo sa isa't isa after, so that is 3 meters per second. After 1/2 hour, what is their distance? Okay, so anong distansya nila after 1/2 hour? Okay, distance A, tatlo ang gusto kong ma-identify. Let's say for example, ito si person A, ang pinanggalingan nila is point F, tapos si person B. So, gaano kalayo si person A mula sa kanilang pinanggalingan? F. Gaano kalayo si person B mula sa kanyang pinanggalingan? BF. Where F is the origin. Dito sila nanggaling. Diyan sila nag-start tumakbo. And then C is AB. Gaano sila kalayo with each other after 1/2 hour? Question letter A, gaano kalayo si person A sa kanilang pinanggalingan after 1/2 hour? Question B, gaano kalayo si point B? Point B. Person B mula sa origin. And letter C, what is the distance between these two individuals after 1/2 hour? Okay? So I am giving you 1 minute to provide your answers. And comment your answers after having this, having your solutions. One minute. Okay? Pag tapos na kayo, mag-comment lang kayo. Letter A, B, and C. Okay, so we are now going to find the answers. Let us solve now. So, tulad na sabi ko kanina, ang unang yung papansinin dito is the speed. So after identifying the speed, given naman lagi ang speed, kay person A, kung tumatakbo siya ng 3 metro sa bawat segundo, at dahil pareho sila person A and person B, na-expect natin na itong dalawang ito, letter A and B, ay dapat pareho lang din ang sagot. Kasi these two individuals have speed that are equal. Kung 3 metro sa bawat segundo ang tinatakbo ni person A and person B, at meron tayong 1/2 hour, 1/2 hour would mean 30 minutes multiply that to, or simply 30 times 60. Okay? So this is in minute, the other is in seconds. So sa bawat minuto ay may 60 seconds. So meron tayo 1,800 seconds. So it means to say, to get the distance between the origin to this person A and person B, it's just simply getting 3, the product of 3 and 1,800. So use your calculator, we have 3 times 1,800 in meters, that is 5,400 in meters. But that is 5.4 kilometers when that is expressed into kilometer. So you have to be conscious. So on choices, you might as well see meters. Mga ganun, okay? Kasi pagdating yan sa exam, kailangan maging conscious kayo na sinabi dun sinabi sa direction na in kilometers, in meters, in centimeters, ganyan. So ibig sabihin, you really need to convert. But these are just basic conversion, class. Always remember that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. And 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. Okay, so we're done with letter A and letter B. On letter C, well, since we are now trying to solve now for the distance between these two jogger individuals, you have to be conscious now again kay theta. Kasi kung alam na natin na 5.4 ang distansya nila pagkatapos ng half an hour, at para makuha mo yung sagot sa distance between these two, you really need to understand yung theta. Paano naman makukuha ang theta? So mag-illustrate tayo. In the illustration, here, kung tumatakbo si person A 30 degrees north of west. So if this is west, this is north. Nagmo-move daw siya pag ganyan ang movement niya. So ibig sabihin, let's say this is 30 degrees. So nandito si person A. At pwede na natin ilagay dito ang 5.4 as an indication ng kanyang distansya after half an hour. And person B has 88 degrees south of west. So this is south of west. So papunta naman siya ng ganyan. That is 88 degrees, so almost 90. So anyway, indicate lang natin ang ganyan na lang. So ito naman si 88 degrees south of west. This is south. Okay. So kung pareho silang 5.4, kunin na natin ang distansya nilang dalawa. Okay, so 30 degrees north of west and the other is 88 degrees south of west. So lakihan ko yung draw. So pag kukunin na natin ang distansya between these two, lagi ko na lang inuulit maging conscious kayo sa angle. I think may nag-raise ng hand. May nag-raise ba ng hand? Parang may tumunog. Okay, hirap talaga ng online, no? Parang dapat na dami mong tenga, ganyan. Pero sabi ko sa inyo, pag may random queries kayo, sabihin, you may now open your microphone and speak it out na para hindi na ako pupunta pa sa main room and titignan kung sino nag-raise hand. Please do. Tayo nag-uusap dito. So, ang distansya ni point A to person B, ang isosolve natin. At ang angle dito is equal to, theta is equal to 30 degrees plus 88 degrees. And that will give us, okay, 118 degrees. Okay, so 30 degrees and 88 degrees will give us 180 degrees. Now we're ready to substitute. So the distance AB is now equal to the square root of the okay, pareho sila, 5.4 square plus 5.4 square minus 2 times 5.4 times 5.4 kasi 2AB, no? Times cosine of 118 degrees. That the angle 118 degrees. Okay? So line segment AB or distance AB is now equal to, use your calculator, so we have square root of 5.4 square plus 5.4 square. At ang masosolve natin dito ay naka-express na siya into kilometers. Okay? Minus 2 times 5.4. Pwede na natin 5.4 and 5.4 product is equal to 5.4 squared. Times, we have cosine of 118 and then v squared. So are we getting the same answer? What I got is 9.26 kilometers. And let me check my input. Okay, sa mga ganitong problem, ulit-ulitin ko, maging conscious kayo sa angle. Have to be conscious to the angle and always be conscious on the final distance based on the time given. Pero ang ganyang tanong lang naman, class, kapag gumagalaw yung object. Kasi nagja-jogging siya. Pero kapag ang object ay hindi naman gumagalaw, at resting object, so halimbawa may dalawang ships, dalawang barko na at rest lang sila, gumalaw sila, and then at rest na sila. At rest means definitely stationary, not moving anymore. Kasi usually ganun yung mga cruise ships, yung mga nag-stop sila at a certain corner kasi meron, nag-navigate sila, ganyan. May mga ganung ships. So, ang mangyayari, hindi mo na kukunin pa yung speed. Hindi na necessary ang speed kasi the object is already at rest. So, posible na ang given, binigay na kagad ang distansya. Binigay na yung agad yung distansya. So, you don't need to have to know the speed. But you just need to know the distance. Kasi, dito naman sa problem na binigay ko sa inyo, the speed is given because you're going to get the distance. But when the object is already at rest, when two or more objects are at rest and you are interested to know the distance between them, you will just get the distance given. Okay, on most cases, given naman talaga ang distansya. Okay, so I commend you for getting the answer. Okay, 9.26 is the answer and you have to be conscious of kilometers and meters. So 5.4 kilometers na yan, so ibig sabihin kilometer na talaga ang sagot. Okay, I'm responding to your individual queries pero I'm not telling your names. So, kilometer na talaga yung sagot. Okay, so on our week 2, we have this week 2 problems. So, we are now officially moving to sigma notation and binomial theorem. Okay, so ang nakikita ko yung first session natin baka mag-i-end lang sa dalawang ito. Sigma notation and binomial theorem. But anyway, there will be other sessions wherein magla-live ako sa Facebook. And then, kayo ang bahala kung gusto niyo pumasok sa meeting room or hindi papasok sa meeting room on the next session. Okay, kasi Monday ang exam niya sa pre-cal. So before we proceed to the sigma notation, do you have clarifications sa ganitong mayroon ba kayong gustong tanungin? Mayroon gusto niyong maliwanagan? O mayroon kayong gustong malaman pa tungkol sa ganitong problems? Kasi what I know is I already provided answers na madalas na magiging confusion pag nagsusolve. You may comment your queries I'm waiting for 10 seconds. And if there are no comments, then we will now proceed to the binomial theorem and the sigma notation. Okay, kung walang tanong, I am giving you 1 minute, okay, for health break. Pwede kayong necessities gawin niyo muna. Sige, 2 minutes health break para hindi naman kayo magulat sa shifting. Health break tayo 2 minutes and we'll be back immediately after 2 minutes. Okay, so that's our health break. So before we proceed to our next session, and that is the sigma notation and the binomial theorem, may I first know if you have clarifications, things we need to respond urgently pagdating dun sa katatapos nating lesson. Sige na, i-comment ninyo kung ano yung sa tingin ninyo ay nalilito pa kayo. Okay, so sa tingin ko wala talagang tanong. So let us now proceed to our next session, and that is the sigma notation and the binomial theorem. Sigma is all about sum. You have to add, sabi niya. It is all about the total. So whenever you see this notation, it indicates get the total. And when you're getting a total, you are referring to a sequence. There is a sequence of what you're going to add. Kaya nakikita nyo dito, the summation, okay, the summation of b sub I from I equals 1, from 1, ganun, up to n, is in order, is in sequence, up to whatever is that n. And I told you, n can also be infinite. So hindi mapigilang pag-increase. Pero ang mga ganyan tanong ay sa calculus na lang, just to give you an idea. Okay, so you need to add all the sequences, all the values b sub I from 1 to n. So technically, get the total. So madalas sa mga ganyang tanong, kung naibigay yung mga values, halimbawa ito, let's say ang ibinigay na values ay this is I and that is B. So from 1, 2, 3, 4. Ang value ng B for I that is equal to 1, let's say 3. This is 7. This is 2. This is 6. Usual problem sa mga ganito where I starts from 1. In statistics, mga ganitong tanong, binibigay din. So what is the total of b sub I from 1 to 4? So mangyayari, you have b sub 1 plus b sub 2, b sub 3, b sub 4, and add them all together since ibinigay yung values. Kapag hindi ibinigay ang values, ang magiging sagot mo lang ay naka-expand. Ito lang ang sagot mo. Expanded form lang. Pero kung ibinigay ang values, then you need to substitute. So anong b sub 1? Ito. The answer is 3. B sub 2 is 7. B sub 3 is 2. And B sub 4 is 6. Add them all together, your answer must be 18. So this is the total. Yan ang basic understanding sa summation. Get the total. Pero may mga rules na dapat nating makilala. So tinanong natin yung rules. Sige, I think we can now have to summarize them all. The constant rule. In the constant rule, rule for constant, let's say if you're going to get the summation of constant C, where I starts from 1 to n, ang magiging sagot is NC. Or ang ibig sabihin, if you have a given that is, what is the summation of 2 from 1 to 10? Ibig sabihin, from 1 to 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ang 1 to 10, ibig sabihin 10. 10 2. Okay? So that is 2 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Where in fact, by a factoring technique, that is simply 2 times 10. Or 10 times 2. Okay? Mas klaro itong isa. 10 times 2. Ibig sabihin, 10 2. So the answer is 20. Ang clue dito, magagawa mo lang yung ganyang formula. Okay? On our second week kasi, ano ba yung ginamit kong formula? Okay. Ito yung ibinigay kong formula pagdating sa constant. Pero ang ibig sabihin nito, class, kapag nag-start ka sa 1, tinan mo, pag nag-start ka sa 1, this is simply 1. And this is 0. Kaya naging NC, ganun lang siya, or CN. Pag nag-start ka sa 1. Pero kung hindi ka nag-start sa 1, yan na yung mangyayari that you really need to make use. This is the general formula. Kaya ito talaga yung general formula. But you make use of this when I starts from 1. Any of these two. Tulad nung binigay kong example, I starts from 1, so you have this formula. Pero pag hindi na siya nag-start sa 1, ganito na lang naman din ang gagawin ninyo. Let's say, what is the summation of 2 from 3 to 10? And how do we understand this 3 to 10? Ang ibig sabihin ng 3 to 10, mag-start ka sa 3, so na-remove mo yung dalawa. Okay? When you started counting from 3, you start from 3, ibig sabihin na wala yung first 1 and 2. Sa madaling salita, ina-expect mo sana na 10 yan, di ba? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kaso, ang sabi, mag-start ka sa 3. So, ibig sabihin, start from 3. So, ito lang kukunin mo. So, tanggal ito, dalawa. So, you have 2 plus 2. So, ibig sabihin, kung natanggal ang dalawa, at dun sa formula naman, ay kukunin mo na lang, dun sa unang example ay 10 ang given. Tapos sa pangalawang example, nag-start na siya sa 1. The first starts from 1, the second starts from 3. And kapag illustrate mo yung nag-starts from 3, dalawa ang natanggal. Kaya ang clue na lang dito ay magiging ganito. Ito yung 2, tapos ano yung multiply mo sa 2. Itong 3 na ito, the number before 3 is 2. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, tanggalin ang 2 sa 10. So, 10 minus 2 will give you 8. Kaya 8 ang ilagay mo dito. 8 times 2, the answer is 16. Bakit siya 8? Kasi, tignan niyo yung expansion na ginawa earlier. Tinanggal mo ang dalawa. Tinanggal mo ang dalawa sa 10. So, it becomes 8. So, 8 na 2 na lang. So, 8 times 2 will become 16. Wherein, yung kapag idagdag mo yung dalawang tinanggal mo, 2 plus 2 is 4, magiging 20 tulad ng number 1. Okay? So, that is the relationship for constant. So, another example. If you have, let's say, the next example is, so what is the summation of 120 when I starts from 11 to 30? Halimbawa, ganyan. That's the problem. So, ibig sabihin, weighting ang 120. Saan mo siya i-multiply? Kung nag-start ka sa 10, ay sa 11, then natanggal mo yung 10 sa 30. Tatanggalin mo yung 10 sa 30. And that is 20. I repeat, since nag-start ka sa 11, kung nag-start ka sa 11, kailangan mong tanggalin ang 10 sa 30. So 30 minus 10 gives you 20 at yun na yung i-multiply mo sa 120. Sa madaling salita, 20 na 120 na lang ang i-add mo sa yang ikukunin mo ang total. At tatanggalin mo ang 10, 20 kasi nag-start ang counting mo sa 11. So, 120, the answer must be 240. And 2040, tama? 120 times 20 is 2,400. The answer is 2,400. Excuse me. So, number 4. Okay, in number 4, I think it's your turn naman. Paano naman ito? What is the total summation of 1,090? I starts from 2 to 6. So what is the summation of 1,090 from 2 to 6? Comment your answer. Okay. Okay, correct. Marian. 5,450 is the answer. Just remove 1 from 6 kasi kung nag-start ka sa 2, o di mag-remove ka ng isang 1,090. So magiging 6 minus 1 is equal to 5. 5 na lang. So the answer is 5 times 1,090 is 5,450. Okay? Nag-start ka sa 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 na lang. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So sa 6, tanggalin mo yung isa, 5. And yeah, 5 times 1,090 is 5,450. Okay? So that is the constant rule. Ang next rule naman is the rule for this. Okay. Ito ang gusto ko namang i-clarify sa inyo. Though on our telecon, ay sinabi ko din ito during the telecon, tinan niyo ang pagkakaiba ng dalawa. Yung isa nag-start sa 1, yung isa nag-start sa 2. Kapag nag-start sa 1 ang given, this is formula A, this is formula B. Sa number 1, pwede mong gamitin ang A or B. Pero ang pinakamabilis na gamitin dito is B sa number 1. Sa number 2, ang magandang gamitin dito is formula A. Okay, let's check. In number 1, kung nag-start ka sa 1, nag-end ka sa 10, so ibig sabihin you have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10. Ito ang sinasabi niyan. Ito ang tinutukoy na number 1. That's how we expand summation of I from 1 to 10. Okay? So, i-substitute mo na lang daw, n is equal to 10, n ito, the maximum. N is equal to 10, so n plus 1 is 11. So 10, 11 divided by 2. Okay, 10 and 2 divisible by 2, so I have 5. 5 times 11 is 55. So kapag i-add mo yung 1 up to 10, ang magiging sagot mo dyan is 55. Samantalang itong number 2, I starts from 2 and it ends from 5. Kapag gawin mo siyang manual, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nag-start ka daw kasi sa 2. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. The answer is 14. Pero kung gusto mong gamitin ang formula A, may ibig sabihin nito, ang magiging A mo ay A sub 1. To use this formula, let me use another color. Para ma-solve mo yung number 2 using formula letter A, ito formula letter A, kailangan mong i-identify ang first term. Simple lang naman class ang first term. Kung ano yung sinabi nito, I starts from 2, sabi niya. So, ibig sabihin, your first term is 2. So, what is your last term? I ends from 5. So, your last term is 5. And then, i-add mo lahat ito. We call this one as the arithmetic series. Arithmetic series. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are arithmetic sequence. Sequence yan, arithmetic sequence with a common difference of 1. Okay? So you have a sub n that is equal to 5. So, ano naman yung itong n? Okay? Ilan ba itong... Pero ang treatment na ito, class, is itong first term and nth term ay indication lang nitong upper. Itong lower is the first term. Itong upper is the nth term. Pero pagdating sa number of terms, ganito na naman yan. Kung nag-start ka sa 2, ibig sabihin, nagtanggal ka ng 1 sa 5. So, 4 na lang ang natira. Kaya nakikita niyo dito, 4 na lang ito. 4 terms na nakikita ninyo. So, sa madaling salita, n here becomes 4. Same case, class. Same case kapag ganito. The summation of I, where I starts from 3, then ito ay 10. So, 10, 3. So, nagtanggal ka ng 2, di ba? Kasi nag-start ka sa 3. So, ibig sabihin, the number of terms expected is only 8 na lang. Yung tinanggal mong 2, ay yung 2 na na-ignore mo kasi nag-start ka sa 3, ay tatanggalin mo sa 10 at bibigyan ka ng 8. So, 8 terms na lang daw yun. Okay? So, kapag i-continue na natin itong second example, ang bibigyan niya na sa ating sagot ngayon ay, place ko lang to for space. So, the total of that will become n being 4, first term 2, second, nth term, where that is 4. So, ang 5 na yan ay magiging 4th term. So, this is 5, the 4th term, divided by 2. So, dito makikita nyo, 2 and 4 is divisible by 2. So, 2 times 7, the answer is 14. Why do we need to understand this, class? Kasi kung ang given sa number 2 ay simpleng 2 to 5 lang, paano kung ang given sa inyo ay 1,000, 2,000, thousands, 100,000s, ganun na yung given? How can you able to answer na? Hindi mo na yan kayang mag-manual. Hindi mo na kayang mag-manual. Ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ibig sabihin, uubusin mo yung isang oras sa kaka-add na ganyan. No. The thing you have to do now is to make use of the formula. So let's have another example in number 2. Katulad ng number 2. Kasi yung number 1, sa tingin ko, ay mabilis siyang intindihin. O sige, magbigay tayo ng 2. So let's say for example, okay, number 3 and number 4. Number 3, what is the summation of k, where k starts from 1 to, let's say, 1,000? And number 4, kahit anong variable ang gamitin natin dito, class, kasi huwag kayong ma-confuse kasi when I use k, yan, sabi ko naman dito, k starts from 1 to 1,000. So si k ay papalitan mo ng 1 up to 1,000. And number 4, what is the summation of, let's say I, where I starts from 98 to 394. Sige, i-comment nyo yung sagot niyo para makita natin kung maliwanag na sa inyo para mag-move na tayo kagad on the next. Okay, let us now answer. Itong number 1, ang ibig sabihin nito, in number 3, I starts from 1 to 1,000. So gagamitin na natin ang formula B. So magiging N ay magiging 1,000. So 1,000 times 1,000 plus 1 divided by 2. Oh, wait lang. Palobat ako. So the answer there is let me show my screen again. I'm back. Biglang nag-off. Hindi ko na malaya na lobat na pala. Okay, itong number 3, formula letter B na gagamitin natin where N is 1,000. So divided by 2. 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. So this will now be 500. 500 times 1,001. Okay, so the answer is 500,500. Huh? So that is for number 1. Okay, so number 4. Na-erase din lahat ng previous comments nyo, pero nakita ko yung sumagot kanina. So in number 4 naman, formula letter A ang applicable. Dito, ang first term ay 98. Ang nth term is 394. So ano ang n? Ang n dito is, kung 98 ito, tatanggalin mo ang 97. You are going to remove 97 from 394. So we have 394 minus 97 is now equal to 394 minus 97 is 297. Nag-start ka kasi sa 98, no? So ibig sabihin, tatanggalin mo ang 97. And 394 minus 97 is 297. And now you're ready to substitute using the formula letter A. Ito ang gagamitin natin formula for letter A. So we now have total is now equal to N, where N is 297, times the first term, 98, plus the nth term or the 297th term is 394, divided by 2 will now give us, okay, so we will now calculate together 297 times 98 plus 394 divided by 2 is 73,062. Okay, so we have number 3 that is 500,500 and number 4 that is 73,062. Okay, so yan ang sagot sa dalawang ito. So sa tingin ko ay maliwanag na sa inyo yung ganitong pamamaraan. So you can just observe other examples. The next example that we need to understand is yung relasyon, ang relasyon ng constant C to a certain function. Kapag nagkaroon ng isang constant, a product, okay, katulad nito, 2x. So pwede mong ihiwalay ang 2 and x. So factoring ito. This is all about factoring class. You have to bring out C to be able to perform the operation of the summation. Pag nakuha mo na yung buong total of the summation, that's the time for you to multiply that to the constant C. Okay? So katulad nitong example, sinolve mo muna ang nakikita mo na pwede mag-factor out ang 3i. You can factor this out. So that will become 3 times the summation of I from 1 to 10. Kaya makikita nyo class, nakaseparate ang 3 and then you are now solving for the summation of I. At dahil nag-start yan sa 1, so pwede mo nang gamitin yung formula na n times n plus 1 divided by 2. Nag-start ka kasi sa 1 yan, so n is equal to 10. So 3 times 55 is 165. That's the total. Okay, in number 2 naman, since nag-start ka sa 2, I have the factor of 2, bring out 2. At since malit lang naman ang number, 2 to 5, so 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So you have 2 times 14 is equal to 28. And this is also 2 times the summation of I from 2 to 5. Yan din naman ang tinutukoy niya. Okay? If you are just following the summation, the formula. Ngayon, crucial kasi itong formula na to. Kailangan natin siyang magamit, especially kapag masyadong marami na ang sinusolve. On most cases, when you are now solving, kasi halimbawa ito, what is the summation of 2i squared from I starts from 1 to 3? So instead of doing this, instead na gawin mo daw is 2 times 1 squared plus, kasi papalitan mo yung I from 1 to 3 plus 2 times 2 squared plus 2 times 3 squared. At makikita nyo dito class na ang nagpabago-bago lang ay itong 1, naging 2, naging 3. Kasi yun ang utos nitong I na to. Palitan mo yan from 1 to 3. So instead of expanding that way, pwede mo na siyang i-separate na lang ang 2 and then square 1, square 2, square 3. So that your answer can just be 2 times square 1, 1, square 2, 4, square 3, 9. So you now have 2 times 14, no? The answer is 28. Okay? Pero in contrast to that, usually baka ma-confuse kayo, may mga problem na hindi na, halimbawa ito, 2k squared from I starting from 1 to 10. Let's say 1 to 3. So tingin ninyo ba pareho sila ng sagot na 28? Okay, that question, yan ang gusto kong malaman sa inyo. I-comment nyo nga, mag-comment kayo, yes or no ang sagot. Kung ang sagot nyo ay yes, ang 2k, ang summation of 2k squared from 1 to 3 ba ay katulad ng sagot sa number 1, that is 28. May I know of 28 attendees right now or 27? Sige nga, mag-comment kayo, yes or no. At dito ko malalaman kung confused kayo or hindi kayo confused pagdating sa pag-solve ng ganyan summation. I am now reading your comments. Dapat maka-20 na comments para ma-convince ako na okay pala sa inyo. So, ibig sabihin, hindi na kayo masyadong nalilito pagdating sa K, sa I, sa lower bound, sa upper bound. Okay, last 10 seconds. Okay, the answer is no, they're not the same. And you know the reason? Simple lang. Excuse me. The only reason is that wala kang nakikitang variable K. Hindi mo kayang palitan ang variable K. Kasi kapag in-expand mo yan, ang magiging itsura dapat niyan, ang magiging itsura niya is 2K squared plus 2K squared plus 2K. Kumbaga paulit-ulit siya ng 3 beses. Pero dahil walang value ang K, ang magiging sagot mo lang dyan is hindi siya 28. So nag-expand lang ito. Okay, nag-expand lang yan. So, kung sana pinalitan natin ito ng K, yun, okay, na magiging 28 talaga ang sagot mo. Kasi K starts from 1 to 3, sabi niya. Pero kapag may variable na hindi katulad ng representation sa lower bound, lower bound, hindi mo yun mapapalitan. Pero kung pareho sila, yun mapapalitan mo. So, another is itong number 3. Parang sinipon tuloy ako dito sa Misa de Gallo ng aga-aga. Tapos, grabe, ang lamig kanina. No? Yung fog. Okay, so here, limbawa, summation of F sub I from 2 to 9. Ang sagot mo lang dito, class, is F sub 2 plus F sub 3. Ganyan lang ang sagot mo dito. Nag-expand lang siya. Okay, so maging conscious kayo kasi mga ganyang problems ay minsan nagpapalito din sa inyo. Remember your first quiz sa LMS, ganyan yung may mga ganyan tanong at nasusurprise din kami na may hindi nakakasagot. Kumbaga yung iba, biglang ang sagot ng iba 2 plus 9, 11. Ganun ang sagot ng iba. Or please observe this. No? It will really help you understand more complicated problems. Okay? So, pwede na siyang pagsama-samahin. Other examples din ng ganito ay ipakita ko lang sa inyo yung difference ng yung mga common misunderstanding. Halimbawa ito. Square root of the summation of I, where I starts from 2 to 4, versus the summation of the square root of I starts from 2 to 4. Tingnan nyo yung difference ito ang dalawa. Kung nagko-common mistake, marami ang nagko-common mistake sa ganito. Tandaan niyo ang PEMDAS, ganyan. Ibig sabihin, unahin mo itong nasa loob bago ka mag-square root. So that will mean square root. Unahin natin daw ang nasa loob. So you have I starts from 2 to 4. So magiging 2 to 4, sabi niya, plus 3 plus 4. Yan ang tinutukoy niya. So your answer will now be square root of 6 plus 3, 9. So what is the square root of 3? So ang sagot mo dapat dito is equal to 3. 3 ang sagot mo dyan. Pero itong number 2, o yung second na yan that you have to compare, we really need to compare these two kasi ito ang mga madalas na pagkakamali ng nagsosolve sa summation. Itong problem number 2, iba ang tinutukoy niya kay first problem. Itong si second problem, ito yung susundin mo daw na formula. So, ibig sabihin, as you keep on changing I from 2 to 4, you must keep on doing getting the square root. So, ibig sabihin, square root of 2. Start ka sa 2. Kasi I starts from 2, sabi niya, plus square root of 3 plus square root of 4. Ito ang sagot. Tandaan nyo ito, class, na let me use other color. Itong I na ito, this serves as formula. Kung ano nakikita mo daw dyan, na summation of I squared, summation of 2 plus I, ganyan. Formula ang tawag mo nila doon. So this one is also the formula. We call that as formula. So ibig sabihin, formula or function. This is formula or function. Yan daw ang susundin mo. Kumbaga, yan ang command sa'yo. Kunin mo lahat ng I, sabi niya, from 2 to 4. At i-add mo silang lahat. Yun ang sinasabi na number 1. Ang sabi naman na number 2, kunin mo lahat ng square root of I from 2 to 4. So, 2, 3, 4. Okay, dapat lagi silang magkakasama na naka-square root. Bakit? Kasi yun yung command. Okay, yun yung command. Yun yung formula. Last, kasi it's already 12. O sige, last ito. Another is, para lang mabigyan ko kayo ng mga common mistake kasi yung mga ito at hindi dapat siya palampasin. So, let's say for example, this is k cube. From k, that's 1 to 3. Class natural, hindi siya equal sa summation of k from k equals 1, 3. Tapos ito ay naka-cube. They're not the same. They're not the same. Please, ang clue dito, basta't magkaiba ang pagkakasulat, hindi na talaga sila pareho. Kasi kapag i-expand mo itong una, magiging ganito yung tsura niya. Cube of 1. Okay? Okay, sa 2 na tayo. So, cube of 2. Now, move to 3 kasi ganito yung cube of 3. So, tig-cube sila. So, pag i-add mo, we have 1 plus 8 plus 27. So, 9 plus 27 is 36. The answer is 36. On the other, ang mangyayari naman, i-add mo muna bago mo i-cube. So, remember the PEMDAS, you have the exponent, parenthesis, exponent, sabi niya. So, k starts from 1 to 3. So, 1, 2, 3. So, the answer is 6, cube of 6. So, 6 times 6, 36 times 6, 6, 3, 18, 200, 16. Tama ba ako? Itchusirang nangungula lang ako. Okay, correct? So, that is 216. And certainly, class, certainly they're not the same. Ang clue lang naman dito, kung magkaiba ang pagkakasulat, magkaiba talaga sila. That is how sensitive summation notation is. When they don't have, when they are not written the same, then they are not equal. Definitely. Okay, and for the binomial theorem, I have a video lecture on that. Pwede nyo na lang panoorin o kung ayaw nyo panoorin, ay pwede nyo din namang